Welcome back, everyone, and I am excited to bring in our next speaker, who is going to be Becky. Hi, Becky, can you hear us?
I
Hi!
can. How are you all doing?
We are good, and you?
Doing very well, thank you.
That's great to hear. And I'm very happy to see you around, but some people maybe see you for the first time, so you should introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Becky Gandillan. I live in St. Louis, Missouri, so squarely in the middle of the United States. Makes it a good sort of base for traveling. I work for Centric Consulting, and I lead the St. Louis arm of our data and analytics practice. In my free time, I do Disney analytics, and that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Which I really like, actually.
I was already wondering, there's something behind you from Disney, but I can't
Yes.
read what
Yeah,
is written
I'm
on.
counting down. My family and I are going on a Disney cruise here in
Oh,
November
cool.
out of San Diego. So excited for that.
Wow.
Enjoy.
Okay, I really think that we should not take more time of
No,
chit-chatting here,
no.
but
I want to see what you're
I'm
doing
okay
with
with
Disney
that.
data.
Yeah, let's jump
So,
in and
take it
talk
away.
Disney data. All right, let me share my screen here so that we can all see what I'm talking about. Got it?
Yes?
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right, we're going to talk about hacking our vacation, which sounds fun and is pretty fun. One of my big passion areas is making data, numbers fun, engaging, powerful, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I have a lot of content, so we'll see how quickly I can fly through it. I talked a little bit about myself. So this is me, my fancy professional headshot, not in my headphones. I'm actually an engineer by background, and I love problem solving. And so my data is my way of solving those problems. And now I sort of specialize in data strategy and road mapping, and that's what I do in my everyday job, helping companies make better use of their data. But also, I am a mom of 2 young kids and a big Disney fan. This is us on our last trip to Disney World, which was back in July. I blog about Disney data. I have a YouTube series about Disney data. And it's pretty crazy to me that a series of videos that are talking some very technical data about Disney can have such wide reach. And I think it goes to show when you put the right spin and the right communication layer on top of data, it can really impact people and what they want to do with their vacations and with their lives. And so in this part of my life, I specialize in crowd and touring analytics for Disney vacations, mostly Disney World and Disneyland. So I apologize to folks in Europe and Asia where the other parks are, but we'll see some of the same things apply. I'm going to talk about what we do on our vacation, what our goals are, and how I can use those goals to pick out data sources to solve potential problems with my vacation. So these goals that we're going to be talking about today, we want to know how to avoid crowds. We want to know how to save money. Disney can be expensive, and we want to enjoy our vacation. And really today, with the limited amount of time that we have, we're going to be focusing in on how to avoid crowds. How can we use that data in order to avoid crowds? Well, what's the problem here? It turns out that even if we're spending one day in the Magic Kingdom, there's a lot of things that we have to solve for if we want to predict how many people are going to be in the park and what they're going to be doing at any given time. So we have all these things. People can go on attractions, they can shop, they can eat, they can choose not to go to the park at all, they can choose to leave early, they can choose to go late. How do I wade through all of this and figure out what all of them are going to be doing so I can go against the flow and maybe spend a little less time in line? Okay, so but that's just Magic Kingdom, right? And if we're talking about Walt Disney World, which is the park that's in Orlando, Florida, there's not just Magic Kingdom. We then have to multiply all those problems by Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom, plus 2-ish water parks. The second one is reopening here again pretty soon with a new theme that just got announced, plus a shopping district called Disney Springs where you can happily spend all day and spend all of your money. A new thing that just opened a few months ago called the Galactic Star Cruiser, where you can take 2-night, 3-day cruises, and you will be taken up to space in this Star Cruiser and be a participant in the world of Star Wars. So that's pretty cool and eats up some people. Plus, there's 34 different resorts just on Disney property that are really highly themed, and people choose to spend time there too. So how do we know what all these people are going to choose to do with all of these great options to pick from? And the answer is that we pull a lot of data to try to figure that out. Now, this is an example of some of the data we could pull. I really wanted to walk you through the process of goals, problems, data sets, and then answers. And normally, if like we were in person and this is interactive, I'd ask people for ideas of what you think might be good predictors of how crowded Disney World is going to be. Spoiler alert, the top one is school calendars, because lots of people that go to Disney have school-age children. And so if school's in session, they're not as prone to taking their kids out of school to go to Disney World. If, however, it's Christmas break or spring break or Thanksgiving, there's going to be tons of families in Disney World, and it's going to be really crowded. So that's the number one predictor. I say 140 districts here because that's a pretty big sample size. It's concentrated pretty heavily on the East Coast because it gives us enough of the data we need to know when those times off school are going to be. You also have economic data. If the economy's not doing so well, Disney visits get cut. Travel agent trends, prior years of results, weather trends. If it's sunny, more people are going to be in the parks. If it's cold and rainy, no one wants to go. Operational info. And then on the right side, we have some information that's either gathered and scraped from other sources or generated by us. So we can scrape Disney's wait times. Disney has an app for when you're in the parks. You can pull up a map of the park and see all of the posted wait times for all the attractions. It's pretty easy to get your hands on that information, and then it's updated every 5 minutes. So obviously that's some pretty solid data, but it doesn't tell you the whole story because Disney's motivated to post different wait times than what reality is. I want to see a number and get in line and then be pleasantly surprised that I waited less than what that number was. And Disney knows that, and so they inflate those posted wait times a little bit. So we have an app that lets people submit their actual waits so we can get the data on what that gap is and be able to more accurately track those waits, as well as a bunch of other stuff, but let's get into the fun data. How are we going to avoid these crowds? Fun fact, this picture is taken back when the parks were still at 25% capacity after the parks reopened. So this is 25% capacity, Magic Kingdom here, and it's actually before the park even opens for the day is the crowds that you could be contending with there. Not great. So what do we do with all that data? We're going to take that data and we're actually going to use a pretty simple tech stack, including AWS and some SaaS, but we're going to run TreeNet and use some Python to figure out and piece together what we think the crowds are going to be like. And the way I'm going to talk you through it is actually the opposite of the way we build it. We build it from the bottom up. So predicting specific wait times for every attraction for every 5 minutes of the day, and then aggregating those to a park level, and then comparing it to the calendar as a whole to come up with what you see on this screen, which is our crowd calendar. And we have everything on a scale of 1 to 10, and we show approximately how crowded you can expect things to be. So if you get really inspired by my talk and decide to fly to Disney World tomorrow, it'll be about a crowd level 6 overall out of 10. Pretty average, not terrible. And you'll see sort of the park hours and how that might impact things, as well as special events. We can start to get some information here, but we need to go down to the next level to figure out what that information really means. So I'm showing you some of the attractions in Magic Kingdom. So those are listed up and down, and then along the right, you'll see the different crowd levels. And at the intersection of the attraction and the crowd level is what you can expect the posted wait to be in the middle of the day. And we have 1 through 10, those are our crowd levels. The way those are distributed throughout the year is they're sort of forced onto a bell curve. You'll see very few level 1 and level 10 days throughout the year. You'll see a lot more average days in the middle. Your level 10s are Christmas and New Year's, and your level 1s are the week after Labor Day. If you want to go to Disney and when it's not crowded, That's the key. You just go the week after Labor Day. No one wants to take their kids out of school the week after Labor Day. The bonus of it being a bell curve is that it looks like a roller coaster and makes for a fun joke in my presentation. You're welcome. Okay, so what does this mean? What will it do to our day in a Disney park? And so I'm pulling up here an example week surrounding a Labor Day. Actually, I think this is a week before Labor Day, but you get the point. I'm also cheating because I'm rewinding to this year's Labor Day and pretending it's in the future, but it's easier than going all the way forward to next Labor Day. Around this time of year, all the crowd levels are 1. No one's in the parks. You're going to have a really excellent time avoiding all of the waits. So what does that crowd level 1 mean? It means, like, in the middle of the day, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is the big headliner for Magic Kingdom, will have about an hour posted wait time. You'll probably wait a little less than that, and really an hour's not that bad. And we see some of the other attractions, half an hour for Jungle Cruise, 45 minutes for Peter Pan's Flight. This is a pretty easy day of touring Walt Disney World. On the other hand, if I chose to take my family to Walt Disney World during the week of Thanksgiving, it's not the most crowded week of the year. It's pretty stinking crowded. I can see a lot more not 1s, 9s and 10s, a few 7s and 8s sprinkled in there. So if I decided instead of going to Magic Kingdom the week around Labor Day and I went on this Monday before Thanksgiving, now Magic Kingdom's a crowd level 9. So what does that mean for my wait times? It means 3 hours at Seven Dwarfs Mine Train instead of 1 hour. It means almost 3 hours at Space Mountain. It means over an hour at most of the other attractions. I could do that. I'm going to choose to not do that and make my decisions about when I'm going to visit so that I can go when there's less people in these lines. I don't want to wait 3 hours for a single ride in a day. But I can also see that I can game the system a little bit at this level. Now, a crowd level or maybe 2 of difference isn't going to make a huge impact to what my day feels like as a whole, but I can look at this crowd calendar and I can still go to each park on a specific day so that I'm avoiding some of the waits. I'm not going to Magic Kingdom when it's a 9. I get a couple of 8s in my vacation, so maybe it'll be a little bit better. So those are the sorts of decisions that I can make on this crowd calendar type of level. But we can dig even deeper, and this is where it gets really fun with all the nerdy data science, and I can see the trends of wait times at specific attractions all throughout the day on specific days. And again, the dates here don't really matter. What matters is the crowd level. So on the top, I have a crowd level 10. This is the most crowded the parks get. And on the bottom, I have crowd level 1, the least crowded the parks get. And I've got 2 attractions here, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is a big headliner. Everyone wants to ride this. And then on the right side is Dumbo, not a headliner. Still a lot of people feel obligated to ride it, but it's not going to be as popular. And we can see a few things here. We can take advantage of some dips, and really that's how you want to optimize your day, is going to the most attractions you can while they're in their dip in their wait time. So if we see Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, I could go right when the park opens, but that wait time spikes really quickly, so maybe that's not going to give me much of an advantage. If I sleep in a little bit, I should probably wait until about 10:15 or 10:30 when it has this sneaky little dip, or I need to wait way late in the night when the wait time drops again. Dumbo's a little bit different. It has a really low wait time for most of the morning until we get past 10 o'clock, and then that's when it spikes up. It goes back down in the middle of the afternoon when all of the families with young kids have taken their kids home to go get a mid-afternoon nap, and then it drops off in the evening when everyone's sleeping again. So like in my human brain, I could process maybe a few of these graphs and try to figure out how to optimize my day based on those dips. The problem is these shapes change every day, and no 2 days are going to have the exact same shape. So if we look at crowd level 1 days, the behavior is much different. So in this case, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train starts with a really high wait time and then it drops. This is a weird quirk of human behavior. Everyone knows Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is the big headliner and they want to beat the crowds there, so they all rush to the park. That leads to a spike on those crowd level 10 days that then keeps going up as more people get to the park. But on crowd level 1 days, everyone that's going to that park is rushing to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and then they've already ridden it. So then there's no line the rest of the day. You can just go in and get in line in Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And an interesting spike happens at Dumbo 2. And there's these things that human brains just wouldn't expect to happen and couldn't plan around. And so being able to take all of these shapes for every attraction, for every day of the year, no one's going to be able to do all of that. And so that's where we use the advanced analytics to help you plan an optimized day. So on this website, which is touringplans.com, is where you can access these things. You can go in and make your plan for your day. Hooray. And so then you don't have to hold it in your human brain. That makes me happy. So I could say that we're going to go to the Magic Kingdom on October 28th. And I didn't trust myself to run a live demo because internet can always be shaky. So I did a few screenshots, examples of how this might work. Once I picked my day and what park I was going to, then I can tell it which rides that I would like to experience. So this list would go much longer than what we can see on the screen, but I know I'm going to ride Buzz Lightyear twice because my kids love competing to see who can get the highest score. I'm going to ride Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's a roller coaster, but both my kids are tall enough for it and they like it, so we're going to do that. Got to do the Country Bear Jamboree. You see some other classics here. It's a Small World is my 4-year-old's favorite ride. So I only have it listed once, but in reality, my family does that one multiple times. So our days at Disney World are a lot of fun. So if we take all of these results, then we have some options. Maybe I'm a Disney veteran, and so I want to put all of this in a plan, and I want to put it in the steps I want it to occur in, but I want to know what to expect. Like, if I do the things in this order, what wait times will I have? Then I would use evaluate. If instead I want the computer to do all the number crunching and get me all of those dips so that I have the least amount of time in line, then I would click optimize, and it would take the information about the day, the park, the things I wanted to do, as well as constraints like mealtime, etc. And it would put it in this beautiful plan for me. And there's several sliding scales that I didn't put on this screen itself, but I can do things like tell it my walking speed, because that's going to impact the walking times, which then impact when I'm going to get to the attractions, which then impacts how long I'm going to wait. So if I'm going to bring a stroller with me that day, I'm going to drag my walking speed to slow. If it's just me and I want to do all the things, my walking speed is going to be really fast. I can do that. I can also tell it to either minimize wait all the way, that wait time in line, or minimize my walking while still trying to minimize my waiting. So I don't care if walking from Big Thunder Mountain, which is on one side of the park, to Space Mountain, which is on the exact opposite side of the park, saves me 3 minutes. I don't want to have to walk half a mile across the park, so then I can tweak that so it doesn't make me crisscross across the whole park. But the results are this. So I tell it that I'm going to get to the park at 9 o'clock. I have to walk over to Buzz Lightyear. It turns out if I'm going to ride it twice, the best way to do it is just ride it twice right at the beginning of the day so that then the wait time doesn't go up later in the day. Then I can ride Space Mountain before the crowds get there. Then I ride the People Mover, then I go to Mad Tea Party and spin around for a while, and then it continues my day. And I can see I know my wait times, I know how long the attraction actually lasts, and then I can see how long it's going to take me to walk from place to place. It plans out my whole day for me in a way that's going to minimize my wait time at each of these attractions. So this makes me very happy. Doesn't really do me much good though if I do that at home the night before and then I get to the park and I have a piece of paper and I'm walking from attraction to attraction and I do Buzz Lightyear twice and then I go to Space Mountain because that's step 3 and Space Mountain's down. Maybe it has unexpected maintenance issues, maybe someone threw up on it, whatever the case may be. Now my plan is ruined and I either just have to wait around and try to pick it back up on time or I go cry in a corner. So instead, we need to put it on someone's phone because they're going to have that with them in the parks. And because we're scraping that posted wait time information every 5 minutes, we're getting updates about whether things are down or whether they have a weirdly long wait that they shouldn't have, or whether they have a really low wait that we didn't expect initially. And so suddenly now we can take advantage of that, and you can optimize after you get off of every ride, and you don't have to stick with that initial plan, and it's going to stay optimized instead of just being optimized the day before. So now we can have a bunch more information in our hands about what we expect those wait times to do. We can also get real-time information about the posted wait versus the expected wait. So we know Disney's inflating those posted wait times. So is it really going to be different? And we can get data back with this timer. So if you're looking at your phone anyway to figure out where you're going to go next, now you can give us more data to make our predictions more accurate by just clicking the timer when you enter the line and clicking the timer when you get onto the actual attraction itself. So this makes sort of that feedback loop look really, really nice. So that's all I'm going to cover today, because that was a lot. We didn't get too into the details of math, and that was intentional. I think it's more fun to think about, yes, all the math, but how do you make it applicable, and how do you make sure people are going to use it, and then how do you incentivize them to give you more data back? So this, again, is my family on our last Disney trip in July, getting to meet Cinderella, and that was pretty cool. But if you want to know more information about the Disney Analytics, feel free to look me back up. My Instagram, I share a strategy based on this data every Saturday. We call it Strategy Saturday. It's a whole thing. So you can see that. I also share pictures and more data, or you can see my blog, my LinkedIn page. But happy to continue the conversation about all things Disney and data.
A really interesting session, Becky.
Yes.
Now,
Thank
I have
you.
already one question. When you have the app, people can say when they're in line and when they're on the attraction, is that data real-time analyzed, or it's analyzed afterwards?
No, it feeds back in real time. Since we're collecting those posted wait times every 5 minutes, those actuals can come in at the same time, and we'll use those to immediately change sort of those estimates and what we're looking at. So admittedly, it's a little bit behind, right? So if you have a 30-minute wait, we don't know it's a 30-minute wait until 30 minutes after you've entered the line. And so having to do some of that reacting and rewinding of the data to then predict the future is an interesting challenge in and of itself.
I can imagine. Did you build all of this yourself, or you have a
No.
whole team working for you?
I don't have that much free time. I have 2 young children.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There's a whole team of us. I don't want to make it sound like it's 20 people, but a good small crew of folks behind the website and the app.
Now, imagine someone says, I want to help work on this. Where do they need to be?
Reach out to me, sure. Just go to touringplans.com and you can get in contact with pretty much any of us. We're always looking for people that like Disney and data.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this was, I really like this session.
I'm glad, thank you. Anyone planning any Disney vacations coming up? You need any suggestions?
Yeah, I want to go back to Paris to see the new studio park with Marvel.
Yeah, so Disneyland Paris they're doing their 30th anniversary this year, while Disney World is having its big 50th anniversary, and Disneyland Paris's 30th is much cooler. I've seen the drone show, video of the drone show there, lots of cool stuff going on in Paris.
Exactly.
I'm jealous.
You're going on a Disney cruise. I think that's also.
I know. It's not Paris, though, right? It's San Diego, but I'll take it.
It's closer by for us to go to Paris, so.
Yes. Lucky you.
So, do you have any other questions?
No. Thank you. I really like the session, and it's always fun to hear this story.
I'm gonna check for sure your website to get more information out of it.
You should.
Perfect.
All right.
Look
Becky,
at it. I enjoy it.
Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge about Disney statistics.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're looking forward to hear more from you. Have a nice day.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Well, that was something else. It was quite an interesting session. But for now, we'll be gone for a couple of minutes, just 4 or 3 minutes, and then we'll be back with another session. See you in a bit.